Thanks. All right, so source one. What's this all about here? What's this all about? Amelia, go ahead. Yeah, okay, good. So when it came to the what events going on here first here? What event did you say I didn't know? Crystal Knock, yeah, good job. So this is information being pushed out by the Nazis to be sent through a lot of these local areas, these communities all around Germany. And what's to occur, what's to happen. Right, so these are kind of like the guidelines that the state officials need to follow. So when it comes to police officers, firefighters, right, and many of the, I guess, representatives around Germany. So with that, okay, these political officials, okay, need to follow through with these guidelines, okay, as Crystal Knot's taking place. All right, good. So what else we got here? What else we got? Let's break it down even more. What's going on here? So you can kind of go by the steps, like 1, 2, 3. Why? Go ahead.
It gives the instructions on how they were going to protect Germans and also how they were going to mistreat Jewish people.
Yeah, all right, good. So within this source here, they talk quite a bit about how they're going to instruct the people of following through when it comes to the fires with the businesses, the destruction of these businesses, when it comes to certain forms of destruction and not looting. Right. They also talk about some of the fires at these synagogues, right? How they're advised to make sure that the fires don't spread to German citizens' homes. So with that, again, you can just see the instructions that are given out, the guidelines that are given out to these officials to make sure that this destruction is only targeting the Jews, right? So again, synagogues, businesses, homes, they're all destroyed, and they wanted to make sure that the angry protesters, the angry mobs, right, that were unleashed, okay, that they wouldn't target German citizens. So it's specifically stated several times throughout these guidelines, right, within the source. What else stuck out to you in this? So I thought that really stuck out when it came to the fires, right? How they're allowed, they're forced to make it burn, let it burn up, these synagogues and these different types of Jewish buildings and restaurants, and just to make sure that that fire just doesn't carry over to the house that might be a German citizen that's next door. I thought that was really eye-opening to me. Like, oh yeah, let it burn up, let it get destroyed. But if it gets to, I don't know, German citizens' home, make sure it's just pushed away. Okay, just allow it to burn right to the ground. Allow it for these businesses to get destroyed. What else stuck out? Go ahead, Connor.
Any pretty much healthy male Jew that was arrested was to be treated nicely, but also in prison to be taken to work camps. But they were not to be ill-treated.
Why? Why do you think?
So it didn't look like everyone else they were being taken away to some horrifying place. They were just reassigning them to a different spot.
Okay, all right, good. What else? Why?
They were fitted for work, so they didn't want to malnourish them so that they weren't able to work. They still wanted to work.
Yeah, good. So at the end of the source, they talk quite a bit about how the healthy, mostly young men, were sent. They wanted to make sure that they weren't mistreated too bad because they're the ones that are going to be working. They're the ones that are going to be put through the labor within these concentration camps. Yeah, obviously, they will be tortured later down the line here as they're entering these concentration camps. It's not going to be good, right? This treatment's not going to be good whatsoever, but it's just going to be a little bit better considering, right? They're the ones that are forced to put in a lot of labor, and they need this. Nazis need this for this forced labor. All right, good. All right, so that stuck out. What else? B, go ahead. All right, okay, good. Right, so when it comes to obviously those types of acts, they want to make sure that they kind of show some sort of face, I guess. I don't know. They even talk a little bit about foreigners, right? So foreign citizens that were entering, not to harm them, even if there were Jews. Okay, so maybe that is to prevent any type of this material or this type of attack on the Jews to spread to other countries around the world and to be publicized. Maybe that's the reason, right? Okay, good. Anything else that really stuck out? Source one. Nothing. Marker, go ahead. Right, yeah. So like here they are pushing these orders out, right? Again, these instructions, these guidelines from the top down to all these areas throughout Germany to try to make sure that this is targeting, right, these Jewish-run businesses, synagogues, communities, areas, and to make sure that just the havoc, the chaos doesn't spread to German citizens. So yeah, like you're mentioning, how this was ordered from the top down, how this was pushed out by the government that's supposed to represent the people. Well, obviously that doesn't happen with the Nazi regime, the Third Reich. Okay, they're targeting these individuals. All right, good. Is there any other questions that we can maybe ask about this source? What questions might you have? Go ahead, Caroline. Right? Yeah. There's a lot of talk about that when it comes to insurance. Obviously, these Jewish businesses, they weren't insured by the state, so any of their products that might have been damaged, let's say by some other reason, okay, it might be, let's say, a severe weather incident. Okay, that's not going to be covered by the state. Okay, so you got to imagine, right, when it comes to looting, maybe again they just don't want to show their people as being. I get it. Obviously, they're destroying these businesses, but yeah, why not looting, right? That's a good question. It's like, well, at that point, with all these resources and materials, maybe they don't want to get that out to the whole world about their population, their people. But anyway, they're targeting. I don't know. Connor?
How do the German citizens that didn't like the actions react to it?
Yeah, that's a very good question, right? So you got to think in fear, right? They probably just avoided it. They probably just stayed inside and stayed indoors. But that's going to raise questions too with the SS and the Nazi officials. They're going to be like, hey, why aren't they joining in? Are they not for the Third Reich? Are they not for the Nazi Party? So yeah, fear. Okay, but a lot of them were forced to jump into this too, right? You got to think with the conformity of the time, right? If you didn't go along with it, chances are you'd find yourself in a concentration camp too as you're going against the Third Reich. You might be a political opposition, right? Viewed as political opposition. All right, good. Any other questions? Oz.
German citizens were hurt.
Yeah, right. Okay, so you got to imagine too, there had to be some sort of injuries or some sort of, maybe even fatalities as this chaos was unleashing all throughout Germany. You got to think there was someone that was maybe caught in this harm too, right? Again, maybe they're preventing some of the attacks occurring in some of the communities. You got to think some of these people were probably injured. So yeah, that's a good question. Anything else? All right, good, good. So is there any questions on source one? So again, Parker, I think you hit the nail on the head. How can the government just allow this to be spread throughout the whole country, allow for this damage, this chaos to unleash right on this group of people, on these groups of people, showing their true intentions? All right. So again, this was building up for quite a while. We talked about the Nuremberg laws. We mentioned about that already, and how this was segregating these groups already from the beginning. But Kristallnacht, this acts of horror all throughout Germany. All right, source two. I'll give you like a minute again. Look over it. Okay, look what you wrote down. Okay, look at the source itself, right? What is it? What's this about? Maybe it's a letter. Who knows? Okay, what they're talking about. All right, make sure you mention a little bit about the achievements of this widow's husband, right?
That's a clear mess.
Maybe she couldn't, and it just turned out to be
That is
she.
a
Oh,
clear
yeah, okay,
mess.
yeah, my bad.
And
Oh, it's right in the dark, okay, I could see what I was doing.
Hey guys, try to keep it down as you go through it, okay?
I was right in Mr. Fight's history. The general hatred. Actually, no, I didn't read that one. Or what? Who you were, or what? Yeah, I mean, you read it, her house is reading it, but what, for the father for this? She could. Yeah, she was deported to France in October 1940 with the other Jews. Oh, yeah.
All right, source two here. Source two. What's this all about? What's going on here is source two. So I'm hoping to get through all the sources today, but again, if we don't, we'll just kind of review them on Monday. I'll put out the assignment and the presentations for the battles projects on Monday. So then you should have plenty of time. Okay, so again, I like to get through them all, but we'll see. Matt, go ahead.
A widow named Margaret Drexler had 900 marks stolen from her during Christmas night, and now she wants it back in order to care for the child and herself.
All right, good. Okay, so when you think about this pension plan that was given towards this family, you got to imagine with the husband, what was so intriguing about the husband here? Obviously, he's not around anymore. But a lot of that. Yeah, okay, good, good. So he probably fought, I guess, in the First World War, right? So here he is fighting. Well, he fought in the First World War. He was killed in action, and he had a lot of achievements, a lot of accolades, medals, proving his honor, his loyalty to Germany, right? So literally died, right? And he was a war hero. So when it comes to his achievements for the country, well, it's kind of second to none, right? He was also recognized by who? Who is he recognized that you saw in the source? He recognized fighting for the cause. He had a picture. He found a photo.
Oh,
Who?
General Field Marshal Wandenberg.
Yeah, okay. You guys remember talking to huh? Okay, yeah. So we talked about Paul von Hindenburg earlier on in the chapter and in World War One, and how he was this figure, this figure for Germany through these tough times of the Depression following World War One. Remember, he was the guy that was voted in as president over Hitler. Right? He appointed Hitler as chancellor to try to unify Germany through these tough times. So here he is. He's saying, "Oh, he's recognized by Hindenburg. He was very accoladed when it came to his work. Obviously success, his achievements. Okay, if anything, this guy is patriotic for Germany. But, well, what was their ethnicity? So they were what? They were Jewish, right? So did it really matter to the Nazis that he fought? He literally died in World War One and he achieved so much? No, it didn't. So I think this letter really hits home. Here, this wife is reaching out to the state saying, "Hey, when it comes to this pension, I need to feed my, I think, one child. I believe it talked about one child. Anyway, it talked about feeding her children, let's just say. And this is just gone. Okay, it was taken away. And the reason for it is because, well, they were Jewish. And just thinking about the history of it, thinking about their, obviously their history with the husband fighting in war and being so successful and that being taken away just because they're Jewish, it's just a huge slap in the face, right? So you can just see the true disrespect for these families that fought for everything in World War One. Again, yeah, they lost, but at the same time, right, you got to imagine how hard it is for this person to accept just the harsh treatment of it. So this widow, well, what happened to her? Blind. Yeah, so she died in a concentration camp, right? So with that, you can only imagine. I can't imagine. So you got to think here they are fighting for their country. You can still think that she is patriotic towards her country, even though these themes, this ideology is directed towards her ethnicity, her community, and her people. And I just can't imagine really the suffer that they went through. All right, so I thought that really stuck out, right? Just the background of it, and somewhat of an interesting source here. Very interesting source. All right, okay. Source three. Give you a little bit of time. Look over it. Oh, is there any questions you have for source two? There has to be a few for this one. Connor, go ahead.
Okay, I understand like desperate times about her desperate measures, but like why would she write to the government if she knew what was going on?
Right. Yeah, that's a question to be asked for sure. Like, if you know that they're attacking your ethnic group, your people here, why would you literally put yourself out like that?
Like, here's my address, come out, go to my house.
Pretty much, right? But at the same time, they are desperate, like you said. And when it comes to this mistreatment, maybe she thought, hey, this is the loyalty I have for Germany. Okay. Yeah, the ideology is not what I'm for. Okay, obviously they're attacking her people, but at the same time, maybe her putting out the achievements of her husband that died in World War I was a way to try to seek for some sort of, I don't know, I guess say sorrow or just some sort of respect from the government. In all reality, obviously that didn't happen. Caroline.
Was she ever given a reply?
Well, I think the reply was taken to the concentration camp. I think that's what it
It
was.
was 2 years apart though.
It was. It was. It was. Matt.
How do we know which camp she went to?
That's a good question. Yeah, it says it at the bottom. Does it say specifically?
Says, yeah,
It departed to France in October 1940 with the other Jews Plaza area. She died in the Gers camp.
Okay, all right. So it says the camp, but again, there's really no other evidence behind it. I mean, when it comes to pictures or her writings, because there's just there's no way you could gather that. Good job, Matt. All right, okay. Any other questions? All right, source 3, here we go. So I'll give you a little bit of time, look through this, and yeah, we'll get to it.
it's not a question, it's a statement.
What's up?
The-
Is this for source 2?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, guys, hey, quiet down. Go
We
ahead.
talked about how he received the Iron Cross first class, which in World War I was the highest medal you could get.
Yeah,
And Hitler actually had the same medal. Apparently, according to people, that he was a brave soldier also.
there you go. There you go. So yeah, that's like the highest of the high, right? It's almost, I guess you call it the Medal of Honor, maybe. I don't know if it's quite that far, but anyway, you can just see the achievements, right? You can see the success and the loyalty to the country, dying in war, and oh, okay. There you go. Source 3. I'll give you some time. Look over it. We'll get to it.
The source is talking about this, about North and, it's how they say we should develop. These are extremely biased. And it's very. These are extremely biased. And the Jews against. Yeah. Saying they're biased towards someone is, like,
You know what I mean?
no,
Bro.
that
Have you never even think of a single great cat? In one paragraph. You're erasing one word and erasing like 5. Dude, I really hope next year, I was like, next year I hope I'll land.
Yeah, one time this year, so don't wait. Hey, you might have 3.
Geometry on top. Yeah, honestly, once, I mean, I was rotating the last day, which sucked. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that got sucked.
Wait. Oh, bye.
He's out of the.
I'm not gonna try that, yeah.
You sure? I'm not concerned about it. It's only a house right after.
I knew that, I got a whole right. What time is
You
it?
got one, I can say about 500 partners.
Yeah. Austin.
It's 7:25.
No, Austin was right on all of it, except like back.
9:10, you're allowed. That's kind of like
Me who has to cut it early and stupid.
oh yeah, so 2 hour study holidays.
Yeah, two shows are leaving.
Yeah, you can
Yeah,
walk,
yeah, you can kind of walk and then.
You know how long it would take me to walk from my house
I
to
live
here?
like it, bro, looks far to me. I've walked it, you technically have like, you know, the trail is behind it.
Oh, the road trail.
Yeah.
I'm still in it, and they're gonna say.
What?
Right there.
I can just-
Yeah.
There's no rollers.
This is what was it.
So yeah, my brother said something fell asleep in his class and he took the ruler and like slammed it into the side of one of the hollow desks. Dude, it shook.
You should give it to the kid.
stack of this tall one right next to Robert and pop it out here to the floor.
All right, here we go. Here we go. Source three. Source three. All right. So what's this about here? Source three. Source three. So it gives a somewhat of a timeline. What was going on? What event was happening? Go ahead, Parker. All right. So crystal knock again, right? And this time, who's it through? What eyes? What perspective is this? Parker. Okay. Yeah, right. So as crystal knock was taking place, okay, you can only imagine the horror that was being seen, and obviously trying to take care of all these children that needed to try to seek refuge, and all these locations, all these places throughout Germany were being targeted, and here you are trying to take as many kids as possible to find refuge, find some sort of safety. You can only imagine the horror of this as it's just being played in your mind. All right, so what else can we gather from this source that really stuck out? Anybody else? Oh, go ahead, Rick. Yeah, right. Yeah, so it's kind of talking about a little bit from source one, right? How they were trying to protect the fire from spreading to other locations, and there they are running through the streets trying to find some sort of safety, and yeah, running into many Nazi officers. And what was said? What was that sick thing that was said towards the bottom of page one? By one of the Nazi officers, what was said? So as they encountered one of the Nazi officers, the teacher said, hey, you might as well just kill us now, right? Just put an end to it, right? This kind of chase and run through the streets, and this war that we're witnessing, we just want it to be over right now. So the teacher pretty much said, if you're just going to do it, do it. And what the Nazi officer? Anybody? Towards the bottom. Anybody? No. It's more just kind of like a lot. Yeah, like well, I guess, did he say anything? Oh, I thought he said something towards the bottom. I thought it was pretty crazy.
He does say, shadow, after the
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, he laughs at first, right? He said he just kind of chuckles to himself, and as he sees the people running, he's just like, yeah, okay. Wait till you see exactly what's going to come, right? You can only imagine, right, what's going through the kid's mind, and even the teacher. It's like, really, this is unbelievable, right? And he just kind of laughs cynically. It says, and pretty much says that. I mean, it is intention to imply that the worst is to come. Like your death, your abuse, your torture is going to come later down the road. So again, it's kind of implied what he's meaning here as he encounters the teacher and Lord Professor Ronnie. Oh, crazy, wild. What else? What else really stuck out from the source? Crazy movies. That's fine.
And even though a lot of them are just children, they still treated them all the same. Like adult or child, they did not care.
Yeah, so later in the other source, I think it's source 6, talks a little bit about the viewpoint of a Nazi officer and what he thought about the Jewish children, right, the elderly, all of them, right? He believed that they were cargo, right? He believed that they were just livestock, that they weren't people, that they're just subhuman. And this was kind of like punched in his head long to the point where there's just no way of pulling that out and thinking them as actual people, having any type of emotion. So yeah, they were all mistreated, even to the children. Imagine. What else? What else was said? So you kind of see towards the bottom, right? It talks a little bit about some of the older Jewish German citizens and mention a little bit about their war accolades to their achievements and how even them that fought World War I, how they earned the success and achievement for fighting for Germany, the fatherland, that they're still mistreated, that they're still gathered up taking these concentration camps. It didn't matter, right? It didn't matter. what the past was like. It didn't matter if you fought for Germany, if you had this patriotism for the country. Right now, with this new ideology, this new order, right, it just really is thrown out the window. All right, anything else? Anything else? Parker.
About the guy at the beginning. If he was talking to him and all of a sudden he just like walked away. That was very, that he disappeared in darkness. Never spoke.
Yeah, yeah, I know what you mean.
That-
Maybe, maybe. No, I mean, I just think it just talks about the hysteria of the time, the chaos that was going on, and that you could even lose track of someone that might have been even with you right next to you because of all the chaos that was ensuing around you. I think that's more what they're trying to build up as you're reading through the source. That even just someone that was right next to you just might even think that they disappeared as you're just fighting for your life, that you're literally running for your life. Yeah. Okay. Talked quite a bit about synagogues being burned up. Talked about a lot of the areas all throughout Germany being destroyed. And again, kind of hinting on the other sources where some of the German citizens, the firefighters, they weren't trying to help these people flee or seek refuge. They were just making sure that this chaos didn't leak into some of the German citizens' homes and institutions. So yeah, this destruction was just carrying on. Oh, wild. Any other questions here that we have for these sources? Caroline, go ahead. Right? Yeah. So you got to think too. I mean, maybe some of these children weren't even Jewish at all, right? Maybe some of these children weren't a part of this ethnicity. It's like, well, how do they just lump them together? How do they just push them into some of these areas? Again, when you look at a lot of these sources, you think, well, if it wasn't for identification, how would they even know, right? How would they even know that they were a part of, this ethnicity, this group? All right, good. Anything else? Any other questions? Yeah. All right. So this seems like a horror story to me, if anything. Right? These people running for their lives and trying to escape the horrors of, well, what was going on. All right. Source 4. I think this is propaganda, right?
I figured it out. If the man who disappeared,
Huh.
he's the one who took out Hitler.
Oh, maybe
He's Batman.
he came back. All right. Okay. So for the propaganda, as you can see, it's more directed towards the Hitler Youth, this indoctrination process. Okay. And well, we talked about the Hitler Youth already this year, and I showed a few images, not a lot, but I showed a few images. I think I had a video for you too that kind of put it in perspective. But here you go. I'll give you a minute or so. Well, nope, we only have a minute left. Jeez. All right. I guess we'll pick up on Monday with these sources, and I'll put out the presentations for you. So if you're not here, if you guys are taking a Keystone, just check Canvas. Okay, make sure you turn in your sources then on Monday. So you got a little bit of time to work on. No. Hold on. Responsibility, dude. So you can bring it back so that you don't lose it. It just puts another. No. Take it. I'm gonna throw it out.
Yeah.
I will.